So here's what I think about the potential return of Ryan Kent to Rangers. Now obviously, as soon as he left Rangers, I kind of had that part of me, and a lot of other fans had had that part of them as well, that kind of thought to themselves, I can't help but feel like there's possibly a return on the cards for Ryan Kent. Now obviously he went out to Fenerbahce, he hasn't had a lot of game time, he's found himself on the bench a lot of the time, he doesn't seem like he's enjoying it out there, and I say the same to every single player who's experienced their prime years at Rangers that eventually ends up leaving, and it's, you'll probably never get the buzz that you did at Ibrox at any other club. And obviously there's going to be a lot of fans that are going to debate that with me about their club and the club they support, but to be honest, I don't give a shit. The buzz of Ibrox on European nights when you're on top of your game is unlike anything else on this planet. In my opinion, being brutally honest, I don't think that Ryan Kent coming back to Rangers is a good idea. I personally never like to see the club going back to players that have been here before, and yes, we've had a lot of success with that in the past, but I think a lot has changed at the club. If we're going to end up going for wide players and trying to go back to the system that we've all been used to seeing, that, you know, expansive, wide, intense football that we love to see at Ibrox, I would much rather we look forward to new signings and new potential rather than going back to what we've known in the past. And to be honest, I think that the football we've seen under Beale, that kind of narrow football, I think a lot of fans kind of got used to that as being the way. Now we're that desperate to get back to that expansive football where when we get a link to someone like Ryan Kent, it's easy to turn around and go, yeah, we'll go for it, because the football was much better to look at when Ryan Kent was here than when he wasn't. But I don't think that going backwards is the solution. I would rather see someone come in the door with fresh new ideas, a fresh set of legs. Yes, he needs to get used to the way Rangers play. Ryan Kent knows Rangers, he knows the demands, he knows the standards, but at the end of the day, I would still rather see someone come in with that potential and somebody that at the end of the day is going to benefit that player trading model we've heard mentioned numerous times. And let's be honest, if you've got a player trading model in place, what use is going back to older signings in terms of development and making money and turning a profit? What use is that? I don't think that spending the money on Ryan Kent, who by the way I doubt would come back for any less than the wages he was on beforehand, which were probably he was probably one of the highest earners at the club before he left. And with so much new talent coming through the academy that we're starting to see, and also numerous talent around Europe, around the globe, that we could instead spend all of that hard working time tapping into, deciding to have a lazy signing in January and go for someone who's, you know, trusted as Ryan Kent, it just doesn't really sit well with me. Now obviously when Leon Balogun came back into the building, I was one of the ones that, you know, wasn't too impressed, and let's be honest, I like Leon Balogun. I think he's a solid defender, he's a solid player. I think every game he goes into, he puts in a really good solid performance, but again, I still don't hold the opinion that we need to go back to go forward. A lot of fans are probably sitting there thinking, well, look at the summer, look at the amount of mistakes we made when we were bringing in players that were new to the club and new to this culture, new to this country. And well, to be honest, that's a fair point to make, and if you have that opinion and you think to yourself, well, I would rather go back, we know what we get from Ryan Kent, we know what we're going to get performance wise, so why would we not go back and have that safe and secure sign? However, again, I'll refer back to that player trade model. Right now, and the money that's in Scottish football, Rangers should be looking to invest heavily in finding those hidden gems, those hidden talents, putting as much money as possible and time and energy into that academy, bringing players to the peak of their career and selling them on. That's how it works, that's how it should work, that's how all fans want it to work. We can't really do that with going back to Ryan Kent. Also need to remind you the reasons round about why Ryan Kent left in the first place. I don't think in his, you know, at the latter stages his career at Ibrox he really put in the performances we expected of him. He seemed like, he kind of downed tools. He seemed like he kind of wanted away. He seemed like he wanted to move on and have a fresh start, a fresh challenge. And I don't think a player leaving and kind of getting cold feet, well, that's if he is interested in coming back, but a player leaving and getting cold feet justifies him returning enough for me as a fan personally. Now, I must say that this might be a load of bollocks. It is a rumour at the end of the day, and in my opinion I don't really see it happening, but I just wanted to put my opinion out there about the signing, about the fact that I don't think going back necessarily brings us forward, especially under a manager like Philippe Clement, who no doubt has brilliant tactics in the game. He's worked at elite clubs before, many elite clubs. He's got 10 years of experience, and if anything, I would much rather have him work with a director of football to understand and to create a new strategy, a new transfer strategy going forward that matches that player trading model that the board have been promoting over the course of the past few years. Do I love Ryan Kent? Yes, of course. I love Ryan Kent. I love the way, when he's on his game, I love the way he plays football. I love how direct he is. I love how skillful he is. He is a great player. I just don't necessarily think that he's the right fit in January for this season or the seasons going forward. He'll have no doubt move to a different club, maybe Premier League, maybe Championship, and have a great career. He's that type of player. I just don't think he's the right fit for us at this moment in time. Right now, there are a number of key positions that Rangers need to fill to undo what was done in the summer, and wide players are a massive part of that. You could argue a left back, centre back, the midfield. This current team, I think, does have specific flaws. It was made to look worse under Beale with the tactics. However, I do think under Clement we're starting to see a wee bit of a brighter future, but there is still massive flaws and massive pieces of the puzzle to fill in. Now, is there a demand for fans to have that Ryan Kent-like player out on the wing? Of course there is, because he is a great player, and we want someone out there who's direct, who's willing to drive at defences, who's willing to cut inside and cause trouble, who's confident, who's brave. But that doesn't necessarily mean we have to go back to Ryan Kent. There are players out there who are choking to be discovered and develop within an elite football club's environment. At the end of the day, those are the players that are going to drive the most profit for Rangers. We are currently sitting as probably the highest spenders up there, with the highest spenders alongside Celtic in the league in terms of wages, and I think adding a player who will not drop down in wages, who was at his peak at Ibrox, who is earning a decent amount here, who will not take a cut in wages to come back, I just don't see the point in adding that on top of the already huge wage bill at Ibrox. Every single player we bring in this building, we should be looking to turn a profit on, and it's hard to say because a lot of the time, especially fans as passionate as Rangers fans that connect with players so much, it's hard to say when a player comes in and he ends up playing really well and he's at his peak. It's really hard to say goodbye to those players, but at the end of the day, that's the nature of it in Scottish football. We bring in, we develop, we sell on, and all Rangers fans need to bear that in mind. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to jump into the comments and let me know your opinions on the potential of the rumoured return of Ryan Kent. Number one, do you think it's going to happen? And number two, if it did happen, would you be happy or would you be a bit miffed at the situation? Just want to remind you as well that the BlueSea channel memberships are available. The link's in the description. It helps us invest a wee bit more back into the videos, make the content better for you guys. The link to that, as I said, in the description alongside our socials, and we'll see you next time.